This is True Crime Tradies. Listener discretion is advised. Pussies.
Yes, and welcome to True Crime Tradies, where two tradies review documentaries on true crime. I'm here with my co-host and partner in crime, Chris. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. My name is JB. For all those listening out there, welcome to the show. This is something a bit different. It's not your typical true crime podcast. Like I said, we are reviewing documentaries that are available on Netflix, YouTube, Prime. A bit about us. We are tradies, carpenters to be exact, and we fell in love with true crime many, many years ago. And basically, we spend most of the day on site just listening to true crime, barely speaking to each other, and just in our own little world, thinking about murder. So I know it's a bit weird, but it's just
a standard thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a standard. It's a normal thing. We're not going to be, I guess, shamed for our kink of loving true crime and murder. I mean, I've gotten to the stage now where if my wife's away from home and I'm not watching TV, I'm listening to true crime and falling asleep to murder. It's like a lullaby to me now.
Exactly.
And I've just gotten desensitized to it. And look, I love that we had like a little intro at the start there, a bit of a trigger warning. Listener discretion. Is that your grandma?
Yeah, it is. I had to bring it back from the grave for that one.
Yeah, but, I was going to say, you better look out. The old man from Sword and Scale might try and come and fuck your grandma.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, she did well. She had to pop her teeth back in, but she did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Right? But I just thought I'd mention as well, like our very first review here is from your hometown or like from your home country, New Zealand. And just wanted to say from the get-go that if anyone's offended by anything Chris or I say, Chris is full Maori. So don't let the blonde hair, the pale skin, blue eyes fool you. He's full Maori. He loves KFC. That's how I knew that he was full Maori.
Yeah.
And,
I'm glad you said blonde instead of grey, which if anyone sees us, they'll know.
They would know. I mean, I've only ever seen you as blonde. I wouldn't say you're grey just yet. You hide it well.
Mate. That's true love.
Yeah. Well, we're in our 40s, but we're not dead yet.
That's true.
So like I said, we are tradies. I've got a question for you, and it's a bit morbid, but if you had to murder someone, right, there's a gun to your head, someone's saying, look, right, you need to murder someone, but you have only got the choice of tools that you have in the back of your ute to murder someone. What are you choosing?
Oh,
I really want the listeners to understand what type of people we are. We can really dive deep into our psyches.
That's a tough one because you automatically go power tool, but then you think of all the little nooks and crannies that the blood and the hair will get into. So
it's not easy, and the problem is with the tools in the back of the ute, everything is up close and personal. The only thing I could think of is a nail gun, but you'd have to be pressing the safety back and hurling nails at them. It's not enough to really kill them, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen Happy Gilmore. It doesn't kill them. Like,
that's right. The nail comes out next week.
Yeah.
So you're thinking maybe not a power saw?
No, I'm thinking a screwdriver. Straight to the neck.
That's it. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's not bad.
Because I mean, it's easier to clean, easier to bury, or to turf, like chuck into the river or ocean or something like that.
That's a good point. I think that's a lot of the tools that you could actually easily dismantle and get rid of, because we see it so many times listening to true crime docos or listening to podcasts ourselves that the perpetrator never does a good job getting rid of the murder weapon.
No, they're terrible.
No, they
why
never
keep
do.
It?
Exactly. I know it's like a memento for this serial killer, like a Ted Bundy or something. It's like, mate, if I was to murder someone, if I used even like a little bit of duct tape from my roll, I'm throwing that whole roll out.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that's the thing. We know as experts in this field that you are going to get busted for absolutely everything. You'd need to shave all your body hair off. You'd need to be basically in a gimp suit, not to leave any DNA behind. Like,
we have thought a lot about this.
We have. I'd even be spraying around my eyeballs black to make it look like I'm a black guy.
That's right. But we're already cancelled.
Yeah. Basically. I mean, we did get the little warning at the start.
Yeah, well, that's
we're just giving people a bit of taste of who we are and what we're about.
So what would you use? What
I don't know. I think a tool that we use the most is a hammer. You know, I sort of feel like I'd be able to have a really good swing at someone with a hammer, and if you give them one really good knock to the head, I mean, it is up and close and personal. It's a bit like a screwdriver for yourself. But I think if you hit them in the right spot, they're going down. They're dazed, they're confused. Then you could really go in and finish the job.
That's true. Yeah.
The funny thing of it, that actually reminds me, there was a murder case in the States. Like, I say murder case, it was a bit backwards, where this husband had organised a guy to kill his wife, and this guy basically waited in the house for her to come home. And for some reason, his weapon of choice was the hammer. And much respect, being a chippy, you love my hammer.
Yep.
Probably a framer's hammer, an S-wing or something like that.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But the funny thing was, he had actually got a couple of hits on her, and this is her telling the story. This is her getting
she
attacked.
survived.
She survived. She ended up killing him.
What, with the same hammer?
No, she
just kicked him in the nuts.
I think she was a bit of a heavy-set lady, so the blows to the head, they did a bit of damage, but it was enough for her to fight back, and she ended up just suffocating him with her body weight.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Just laid on top of him, and he couldn't get out, and then it all unraveled from there. The cops were able to figure out that the husband paid this guy, through the breadcrumbs. But what a horrible hitman! If you're gonna people out there, if you're gonna hire a hitman, just do your due diligence.
That's so embarrassing for him.
It is.
Imagine his reviews.
His Google reviews for Hitman.
Terrible.
It'd be like 1 star. Fucking turned up to this job with a hammer and then got murdered himself. This guy is the worst. Never use this guy.
By getting sat on. Yeah.
Exactly. But look, I actually think this might be something we can do with each case that we do, or particularly a murder case. Maybe we can either do this. We can step inside the murderer's brain and go, you know what, instead of the way he did it, I would have done this using one of the tools in the back of my ute. Or we murder the murderer, and how would we murder them? I think we can probably have more fun with that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
awesome.
what tool would you use to fucking finish this loser off? I think that's not a bad one.
No, I totally agree.
I think we should just get kicked straight into it. So how this is going to work, we are going to take it in turns of who is the lead role in the reviewing of the documentary that we're going to be doing. This week is you. You're the main man. So just so the listeners know, I have watched the documentary. This isn't going to be one of those true crime pods that you hear where you've got a co-host that doesn't know what's going on. I think we know what I'm talking about. True crime junkies. You got Brittany, who just seems to be like, "Oh my god, what happened?"
Body chills.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't the case. This is going to be okay. We've both watched the doco. We're both going to have input, and we're both going to review it. And this is honest reviews. We may be taking the piss out of people, maybe in the victim. We'll try not to do that.
That's
as much
right.
as we can.
It's all good-hearted. We make fun of ourselves more than anyone else. We're just. Yeah,
exactly right. So we're going to start with a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Lie, and this happened in your hometown, New Zealand, like I mentioned earlier. So we're just going to start with the preview that you'd be able to see on Netflix or on YouTube, and we'll kick it off after that.
He was quite comfortable to tell his story. Yeah, I went off one way, she went off another way, and I never saw her again. What is he not telling us?
She got along with everyone. What you saw is what you got with her. She was excited about her gap year away.
She was a beautiful, talented, loving daughter. Grace was our sunshine, and she will be missed forever.
On her birthday, she'd gone off the radar.
It's New Zealand. Things like that don't happen.
Police in New Zealand are continuing to search for a missing British backpacker.
Grace Millane.
Grace is still
There's
missing.
so much CCTV.
It's all recorded.
What happened to Grace?
At the moment, we don't have any evidence of foul play.
Doesn't make sense.
Jesse Shane Kempson. We needed to contact him. He was the last person to have commented. We hold grave fears for his safety. He was the man on the CCTV. We watched second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. We couldn't afford to miss anything of who Jesse Kempson is.
There's something you want to ask?
Did you kill Grace Millane?
It is an unbearable time for the Millane family, and our hearts go out to them.
There is this overwhelming sense of hurt and shame. It's toxic.
Candlelight vigils will be held around the country in solidarity for Grace.
She was shamed and blamed. People were so quick to judge and blame Grace.
Your daughter should have been safe here, and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that.
How do you plead?
Not guilty.
He did what she asked him to do. This death was an accident.
One lie can spread so quickly. We had to find the truth.
So straight off the bat, hate the title. Don't think it suits it at all. So when I first sat down to watch it, I thought, The Lie. It's going to be about a con man. It's going to be a cover-up conspiracy, something like that. It's not at all. All it is basically they named it because the detective was offended that when he asked the suspect, did you murder this person? He said no. And he just seemed to really take that to heart. He's, I can't believe you just sat there and lied to me. What a fucking egg. So then they named the whole documentary The Lie.
But that's the thing. Is this the live version 1000? Because pretty much every detective is getting lied to.
Exactly. I don't know what the criminals are like in New Zealand, like how honest they are, but surely this isn't the first one this cop's been lied to.
It's like, I gave you some KFC and now you're fucking sitting in front of me lying.
That's right. What more can I do?
So you hate? I agree with you. 100%.
Hate The Lie. I actually enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed the documentary, but I hated the title, and I just kept waiting for something else with this big lie or big turnaround or something like that, but it just never came.
Yeah, you're right.
Saying that, I really enjoyed the documentary, and being from Auckland, there was a lot of places that I recognised and things like that. So that was really cool as well. So I did.
Was it one of those things where you're watching a documentary and they have something in the background? You go, I've been there. I don't know that.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, that's right. So
it's a bit nostalgic for you.
Yeah. Less murdery, but you know.
Yeah.
So The Lie. It's about a backpacker from England named Grace Millane, and she's a 21-year-old girl, and she's traveling around on her gap year. So she'd already been to South America, Peru, and then she'd arrived in Auckland late November. I think it was the 20th of November.
What year?
Now I'm just going to make something up. 2018.
I think it was 2018.
Yeah, was it? Oh, nailed it. And you think, I've arrived in New Zealand from South America, traveling by herself. Safe as houses now, no dramas. Like her parents must have been freaking out when she was going through South America by herself. Like, that's crazy.
Absolutely. And an interesting point at the very start of the documentary is a Google search showing the safest places in the world a female can travel. And Canada was number one, surprisingly, and New Zealand was second. Yeah. So that was a very start of the doco.
Yeah. She arrives in Auckland, and then about a week later, she jumps on Tinder, and she meets this guy named Jesse Kempson. And he's a Kiwi guy. He's a Maori or part Maori guy. And they start chatting on Tinder, and you see the conversation back and forth. And he seems like a pretty cool guy. Like, he's very genuine. They've got a little bit of a flirtatious vibe going on. Seem to get along really well, and they organise a catch-up, which on her birthday as well, which... That part I found a bit weird. Yeah,
because it's a bit loserish, isn't it? It's like, this chick has no plans.
I immediately
on her birthday.
thought of that Seinfeld episode where Jerry dates that girl, and then they go out on her birthday, and
it's like a bit weird.
Yeah,
there's something wrong with this chick. I also have to mention that the Tinder profiles as well. They show the little pictures while they're having a little conversation. Have you noticed the pictures are so much better than the real person?
Oh,
I mean, we've been married our whole life, and we've never gone through this Tinder stage. Yeah, and man. The way they represent themselves and the way you see them in the real life, it's like,
that's right.
Not great.
Exactly. So apparently in New Zealand, by listening to the documentary, it's called Tinder as well. So,
okay.
Yeah. I jumped on Tinder, met this girl.
Is that like chicken tenders?
Yeah. So anyway, so they're having a bit of a chat. They organise a catch up and go out for drinks and dinner on her birthday. So, which is again, I don't know whether that was weird or endearing, but regardless, they meet at the bottom of the Sky Tower. So it's quite a popular little area, and you see Grace there waiting for him for a couple of minutes, and then you see him coming to the screen. This is all from the security cameras at the Sky Tower. And then, I don't know if you notice or not, but he does this weird little, I see you nodding.
Pirouette?
Yeah. He does this weird little spin. And I was like, what is he doing? Is he doing a bit of a, yes, queen, check the fit?
You know, my first thought was he was checking his fly. You know, he did the old flip test on his fly on the way there, thinking, did I fucking pull my fly out? Because he just finished polishing like 4 beers off before he went and saw her.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So he's probably just gone and taken a piss, and he's like, shit, did I fucking pull my fly out?
Yeah,
and then that little pirouette, and within eye shot as well. She must have been looking in his wake arm. What is he doing?
Yeah, because then I thought, has he seen her, and he's gone, ugh, don't really like the look of that. Yeah. And then he's done like he's gone to turn, and then halfway through his turn, he's gone, fuck, I reckon she's clocked me. So then he ends up doing this little flamboyant twirl and then walks over to her. So it's just made it so much worse.
It did.
Anyway, on their date, they get along really well, and you see them through the cameras and everything like that. Going to a few different bars and having a few drinks and stuff like that, and they're getting along really well, and they're at this one bar, and then she gets up to go to the toilet, and he grabs her handbag and he starts going through it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Odd behaviour. The balls
yeah.
on this guy to be able to go, you know what? Her bag's right there. I'm just going to go through her shit.
That's
and what's he looking for? Was he looking for cash?
I think so, but he doesn't take anything out. But it's just like a bit of a scuffle through it. But he doesn't.
That's right, he's already lied to her. Maybe that's why it's called the lie. But he's basically told her he's this loyal guy, so he's loaded. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Another lie.
Yeah, the first thing I thought was, he's buying her all these drinks. He's poor. He lives in a hotel. He's probably looking for money. Maybe she just didn't have any.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so the next thing that we come across is the police interviewing Jesse about Grace going missing. And this is where the cops ask him about that night and where they went and how it went and all those sorts of things.
Today's date it's Thursday the 6th of December. Just written down your details.
Yep.
That's in relation to a young lady, Grace Millane.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
And that's her there? You recognise her?
Yep.
Okay. So that's Grace. She was 22 on the 2nd of December, just had her birthday.
Yep.
Did you know that?
Yes. So we talked about that, yes.
Okay. Tell us about Grace.
So I was talking to Grace on Tinder.
Yeah.
We'd matched on Friday. I saw that we'd matched the next day on Saturday. And then I saw a message from her saying, hey. So I messaged back saying, hey, how are you? How's your day going? Blah, 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 blah. We did the typical courteous hello, how's everything going? And then we decided that we were going up to Andy's Burger Bar.
Whose idea was it to go to that particular burger place?
Me. Because I didn't initially know that she was real.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of... So have you heard of catfish?
No.
So catfishing is where someone uses your profile or uses your photos and pretends to be you and then meets and you're a completely different person.
Right.
And it's happened to a few people I know in Australia, and it's all over the TV. So I thought, you know what, if I meet at Sky City, at least I know that there's lots of people around. So if it is someone that it's not, then I can just walk away.
Right.
Yeah.
So you suggested
Sky City, yeah.
To deal with a potential catfish.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of catfishing?
People do it, I don't know, to catch people out. A lot of men do it against other men to catch cheaters out. So if they're friends of the girlfriend of the man, they do it to do all of that sort of stuff. They also do it because sometimes they want to be like the other person that they're not.
Okay.
And it's on Tinder, it's all about the way you look. And so if they use more endearing photos, you're more likely to swipe for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does meeting in a public place sort of protect you from meeting someone who's not as good looking as...
Well, there's security there. So if she wasn't who she said she was, at least in my mind, I'd feel safe.
Yeah, I found it interesting there. He talked about catfishing, and you could tell the detective is just sort of staring at him, not really understanding what he's trying to get at here, because I think he's a bit confused. He goes, well, what does that mean for you? What does it matter if they're trying to catfish? Why are you meeting them there? What the hell is catfishing? He's trying to describe it to him, but it's not really making a lot of sense to the detective. It's like he's just not believing what he's putting out there.
I think the detective's doing quite a good job there of just letting Jesse talk himself into a corner as well.
That's right.
So he's got
exactly.
Jesse talking. He just wants to keep him talking.
And at the start, you feel like, I mean, watching this, not knowing the full story and what happened to the victim, I believe him at the start. He puts on quite a good show, and listening to him and explain his story, I'm like, if I'm a detective, I'm looking at this guy going, yeah, I think I believe what you're putting down. There's a section, there's a moment at the start where in the middle of a sentence, he picks up his water and takes a drink. That is the only point in the interrogation where I thought, that's odd.
Yeah, it shows that he's a little bit nervous.
He's nervous because he doesn't give off those vibes that he is nervous. But that pause to take a drink, that means, mate, your mouth is dry and your heart must be racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that, for me, watching it the second time is what I picked up from that interrogation.
Yeah, because I think up to that stage, he was confident as. Like, he had a story, and he like, as you said, he's really put together.
Yeah, very well put together. Like, he's wearing like a two-piece suit.
Yeah, and he's coming across really well. He's got a story down pat. Like, he's just,
going through the motions of the night, like you're saying, this is where we were, this is what we did. Yeah, we text back and forth. And everything up until that point isn't a lie. And it only gets to a certain point later in the interrogation where things really start to sort of, not make sense. And the detective's got him on ice.
How did the evening pan out?
Yeah, pretty good. We drank a lot of cocktails at the burger bar, and we were having good conversations. Yeah, that's us.
Down there?
Yep.
Is that before or after?
That is after.
Okay, and where are you guys going now?
So she's going that way, and I'm going across the street.
So you knew that she was going to be heading back to her hostel at this point?
I didn't. I knew she was heading towards that way.
Yeah.
I assumed that she was going to the bar upstairs.
At the hostel?
Yeah, that's where I assumed she was going.
Where was the last point that you saw her?
At that intersection.
Okay.
Not here. Probably further down this way at the lights.
Yeah.
But that would have been the last place I saw her.
All right, so we jump ahead in the doco by about 6 days or so, and Grace is still declared a missing person, and her family's travelled over from the UK to help with the search and just offer any assistance that they can. And her dad, David, he does a press conference, and it's actually pretty heart-wrenching to watch.
It's brutal. It is brutal. I mean, I'm pretty desensitized to all the true crime stuff we listen to and documentaries and even things with kids and all that. But for some reason, the family interviews in this documentary hit you hard. Like,
That's
you
right.
can really relate to them. It's like, oh man, this family is just suffering.
He's right in the heart of it, and he's just pure raw emotion.
Good evening, everybody. I'm David Millane, Grace's dad. As you know, Grace has been missing for several days, and as a family we've been extremely concerned for her welfare. Grace is a lovely, outgoing, fun-loving, family-orientated daughter. Grace has never been out of contact for this amount of time. She's usually in daily contact with either her mother, myself, her two brothers, members of the family on social media. Grace is on a year-long worldwide overseas experience. Grace started this travel journey in Peru in South America, and at the end of this was really looking forward to the second leg in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's gut-wrenching. Yeah. I also find really hard too is just seeing how hard the detectives take it as well. Like, Detective Beard, head lead investigator, like, really have his heart on his sleeve throughout this documentary, where anytime he's up in front of the press, he's got tears in his eyes.
That's right.
And he's
I did
feeling
notice that
this for the family, and I just hats off to all the homicide detectives out there. They're my heroes.
Yeah.
Because they are just working so hard for the families, and just that stress and that, I guess, that expectation that you're going to pull through for them as well. Imagine having that burden on your shoulders.
And
that's rough.
That's the type of person you want as detective working on your family member's missing case or murder case. So.
Yeah, you don't want some kid out of the academy that doesn't give a fuck and has no empathy.
Or someone who's got 6 months left until they retire, or they just run the clock down. So this guy was awesome. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, so we shoot back to Jesse's interview with the police, and as we said, he's coming across really well, but this is when the detective starts to really dissect his timeline and his story, So
on the Saturday, you've departed, walked down Queen Street to a pub somewhere on Queen Street.
Yeah.
And you've spent somewhere in the vicinity of 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
At which point you've drunk, you think, 10 beers.
Yeah, I would say at least 10 handles of beer.
10 handles.
Yeah.
And after that, you don't remember anything?
No. After that, I remember waking up the next day.
What time was that?
I woke up about 10 o'clock.
How do you know that it was around about 9 or 10 a.m.?
Because my phone was next to me, and that was, I'm sure it was 10.
During this, he clearly realizes that the cop's onto him. And he ends up getting up out of the room when he's by himself for a little bit, and he knocks on the door, and with the detective, someone else answers the door, and Jesse, he goes, hang on, I got to get my New Zealand accent right, hang on. No, yeah. All right, I got it, hang on. Oh, hey, am I being arrested for something that I didn't do or something? And then this part here, you could hear his voice shaky a little bit, and this is when you're like, mate, you're done, you're dead to rights.
Hey, I just want to ask a question. Am I being arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested, mate.
Oh, sorry.
At this point in time, it's an investigation into a missing person, and it could be a homicide investigation.
Okay.
Which is what he was talking about at the felt play.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Holy shit.
Yeah.
The investigator leaves him by himself, but there is a time stamp in the top right-hand corner, and if you actually have a look at it, you can see how long he is by himself for. And can you imagine being in a little room, you're being interrogated, you've got no way of occupying your time? Like, I can't even go take a shit without taking my phone with me anymore.
Yeah, all he's got is his thoughts and panic.
Exactly, sitting there in an interrogation room, not knowing what's going on, what's being said outside this door, and he obviously panics, knocking on the door, going, "Hey, am I in trouble? Am I arrested?"
Right. Yeah.
He actually says arrested, and they basically have to tell him, "No, man, you're not arrested."
Yeah,
We're just just asking you questions. So nothing has really come to light here. He hasn't even been challenged yet, and he's clearly nervous. And he starts eating gum. He's looking at the camera, like he knows he's being watched in there too. So he's trying to do his best to sort of sit up straight and just keep it cool. But obviously it just gets too much to him after being left in there for about 15 minutes with his own thoughts.
Yeah, and this is when the detective, he starts coming down hard on him. So he starts tightening that noose. And he starts showing him a few more photos of around the city and where they went and really pulling his story apart.
Is that you?
Yes.
That's you?
Yes.
Okay. Picture is in your hotel room.
Yeah.
Okay. That's on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
At 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:14.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still sure it was 10 o'clock. I'm still sure of it.
You were pretty specific.
Yeah.
About waking up.
Yeah.
Having been in a drunken stupor at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's you walking in with a suitcase. At 8:14.
Yep.
Yeah.
The cop just let him, get into his own lies. Oh,
yes, exactly.
Maybe it is a good name for the doco. Yeah. All right, I'm back on. Well, I'm going to say the cameras in Auckland, or I don't know if it's all through New Zealand or just Auckland, the CCTV cameras, amazing.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say about this documentary. It feels like they've done the whole documentary using reenactments. It's like you see every little bit of where he's been, where they go on the date. There is not, it's almost like they haven't missed a step.
That's right. Yeah,
throughout
100%.
this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my family and I were back in Auckland a few months ago, and this is before watching the documentary, and even walking down the streets there, you really notice all the security cameras that were around constantly. And that was, I mean, as I said, that was without even trying to look for them or pay attention, and you could really felt it. So there was actually one street, I did a little bit of research after noticing it, but there's a street in Auckland called 4th Street where there's a stretch of 100 metres, and in that 100 metres, you're being filmed by 21 different cameras at one time. It's
Holy
just crazy.
shit.
Yeah.
And I guess you would, like you said, unless you're looking for him, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That's
this
right.
guy lives in Auckland too. You'd think you would know, like the town he lives in. I mean, we're from Melbourne, Australia, and it's just like there are cameras absolutely everywhere at every intersection. You are being watched. And that's the thing about this guy. Comes in there very confidently and must know that the detectives have done their homework on him.
Yep.
Yet he still goes through, and almost like he believes it himself, of, okay, where did you go after that moment? And they know it's all bullshit. But he just starts digging his own hole.
I've still got that suitcase too.
Whereabouts is it?
It's in my room.
Okay. There's quite a difference between waking up at 9 o'clock, which is a pretty positive statement, and walking in
with a suitcase that I still have in my room.
Clearly under your own steam.
Yeah. Okay.
Explain that.
I might have got the times wrong, but if you're assuming that I was using that suitcase for something, I've still got that suitcase in my room. And you guys can have it if that's what you're assuming.
Yeah. So when they show Jesse that footage of him getting to the elevator at his hotel, and he's got the suitcase in his the next morning, and he just keeps going on and on about the suitcase, and he's still got it, and they can check it out if they want it, and it's in his hotel room. I was thinking, mate, this guy is ballsy as, because there's something dodgy with that, and he's just confident as. I'm like, all right, he's hoping that they don't call his bluff. But
that's right. But he knows he knows what the go is with the suitcase, and it's why is he offering up that information for them so readily, and it's obvious to the detective what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we find out a little bit more about that suitcase later on in the documentary, and I got to give it to him. It's pretty smart. I didn't mind it. What he's trying to do.
It's smart, but he's also a dumbass in the majority of this. And when you really just sit back and like dissect it at the end of it, and you really just thought he wasn't as smart as he thinks he was.
No, exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
So a few days later, he's brought back in for another interview, and this is where he really changes his tune. And he tries to paint a picture of what happened that night with Grace. And of course, he uses the 50 Shades of Grey theory.
We were talking. She asked me to turn the TV off. She started talking to me about 50 Shades of Grey. And she told me that there's a few things she likes doing. Started having sex. At first it was just normal. And then she asked me if we could get into bondage. I stopped at first and said, is this something you really want to do? And she said, we're in the moment, let's just go with it. And then I guess we had sex for a little bit. We swapped over. I got on top. We started having, I guess, more violent sex. We ended up on the floor. And we kept going on the floor. She told me to hold her arms tighter. And then she told me to hold her throat.
So, and it's obviously where she wanted the bondage sex and she wanted the rough choking sex, and it was all her fault, and he did nothing, and he's just a nice young man.
Exactly.
So,
I've never even seen 50 Shades of Grey, have you?
No, neither right. No, I don't know. I heard about it from kids on the street.
Yeah. 6, 7, 50 Shades of Grey. That's all they're talking about.
God. So he claims, they had this rough sex that she initiated and she forced him into and whatnot. And then he says that he goes off, he has a shower, and then he falls asleep in the shower because that's super fucking normal.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
Right. Exactly.
How many times have you fallen asleep in the shower?
Oh, daily. So the next morning he wakes up, and then that's when he finds her dead body.
So I went into the shower because at that point I was sweating. I was, just... and then all I remember is falling asleep in the shower. And then waking up, it would have been, can't remember exactly when it was, but it was still dark. I crawled back into bed. Initially I thought Grace had left. And I was obviously asleep in bed. I woke up the next day and I saw that she was lying on the floor. I saw that she had blood coming from her nose. I screamed, I yelled out at her, and I tried to move her to see if she was awake. I need to stop.
Instead of calling an ambulance or calling the police, he just does the logical thing. So he pops her in a suitcase, squeezes her body into it, hires a car, drives 32k away to the Waitaka Ranges, digs a shallow grave, and leaves her body there. Which is pretty much what any normal, rational person would do in that circumstance.
I was just terrified and scared. I went to the warehouse at the atrium and bought a suitcase. I went back, and at first I didn't know what to do. I just put the suitcase on the bed. I remember putting Grace in the suitcase.
At some stage during the doco, you see the crime scene photos of the hotel room, and mate, it lights up like crazy. There's just
that's the thing. It looks clean. It looks clean, and they've done the old luminol spray on the carpet, and it does light up like a Christmas tree. And that was one thing that I really took notice of. He does mention about she had a bit of blood coming from her nose, and I'm thinking he must have stabbed her or something like that. As you're watching the doco, and you're like, man, I believe he's done something else to her at this stage. Yep. At this stage of the documentary, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking she's been stabbed.
Yep, that's right. And particularly to get her into a suitcase as well. Like how, I don't know how long it takes for rigor mortis to kick in.
I don't think it's that long. I mean, I think probably within 24 hours, like you'd be pretty stiff after a day, I would assume. But I mean, that process happens pretty quick, like pretty soon after death. So depending on how long he had her sitting on the ground there for, like, I would imagine it being very hard work. I mean, I can't even pack a bag to go away somewhere. If I forget to put my toiletry bag in the bag, you know how hard it is. You're sitting on the suitcase, you're trying to zip it up, and we're talking about clothes. We're talking about a human body, an adult.
Yeah, that's
female.
Trying to cram her in without cutting off any limbs or
exactly
breaking bones, things like that. That's a huge feat.
Oh, it is. And imagine the weight of this suitcase as well. Like, we're talking about dead weight.
That's right.
Pardon the pun.
Exactly.
It is dead weight. So if she was like say 60 kilo female, I mean, that's at least double that. Him trying to lug this suitcase around afterwards, after the fact. I mean, that's hard work.
Oh, 100%. So just in case this guy wasn't huge piece of shit already, we find out that the following day after killing Grace, he goes on another Tinder date with another woman.
He does. And of course, this is all on CCTV as well. It's almost like he's looked for the cameras and sat down on the perfect table to have a side-on conversation with this new female. You do hear her voice on the documentary. You don't get to see her face.
Yep.
But she explains the conversation that they had and why she was a little bit creeped out.
So when I sat down with him, it was sort of, the usual, what have you been up to today? And he told me that he'd been trying to find a really large sports bag because he plays softball and he teaches children a lot of softball. But it was really hard for him to find a bag that could fit all of his equipment in. Like, he couldn't find one that was big enough. And but in the end, he did manage to find one. So that was a win for him, he said, for the day. And we talked a little bit about his friends. And he said, all my friends are police officers. And he said, met them in bars and they just invited me back to their houses for barbecues. But he said they're having a lot of trouble right now because a lot of bodies are going missing in the Waitakares. But police dogs can only smell 5 feet deep. So if you bury a body more than 5 feet, a police dog can't smell it. I just thought it was really, really strange. She was back in his apartment and I didn't know, and I couldn't do anything about it.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's just this casual conversation about burying bodies more than 5 feet deep so the dogs can't sniff them out.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Yeah, that is bizarre.
Yeah,
they 100%. I mean, dogs. I mean, it's pretty sure that cadaver dogs can smell through, like in water and everything like that.
That's
like,
right.
They're
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I actually Googled it afterwards, and because I was like, surely, the dogs could smell it, but it's actually more like 15 feet.
Oh, okay.
And
so
then the dogs won't be able to smell it. So unless this guy's digging a hole by hand, a 4.5 meter deep hole, the dog's going to pick it up.
And you do actually see the hole on the documentary, and it doesn't dig anywhere near 5 feet. I'm pretty sure it's like a foot under the ground. It's like you just had to scrape your hands over it a little bit, and you found the suitcase. He did do a very good job. And then if it wasn't for him, I guess, giving up the information to them, like I guess no one would have ever found it.
No, I don't think they would have found his body for sure.
Yeah,
and he claims that people are dumping dead bodies in the Waitakere Ranges all the time and they're not being found. Surely not. It's like, and also, the Waitakere Ranges are beautiful. Don't dump bodies there, all right?
Don't desecrate my land.
That's right. It shouldn't have to be part of the tourism ad. Just don't dump bodies there. Right?
Exactly right. It's just a really creepy interaction there with this new female. It just goes into the psyche. Like you said, a real piece of shit.
That's right, yeah. And thank God her spidey senses were tingling. She got the fuck out of there real fast.
So who knows what his motivation was? We're talking about a guy who's literally just murdered someone the night before and still has the body in his hotel room at that time.
Exactly, yeah, that's right. So he's obviously charged with murder, so no shocker. But I think you touched on it before with the emotion of the detective. I popped down in my notes about how it seemed to be all of New Zealand really came together for the death of this UK backpacker, and it was so good to see. Obviously, the detective, as you saw, and then the Prime Minister at the time, Jacinda Ardern, and she really takes it to heart. She really apologises for it.
I can now advise that a short time ago, we located a body which we believe to be Grace. The formal identification process will now take place. However, based on the evidence we have gathered over the past few days, we expect that this is Grace. Obviously, this brings the search for Grace to an end. It is an unbearable time for the Millane family, and our hearts go out to them.
From the Kiwis I have spoken to, there is this overwhelming sense of hurt and shame that this has happened in our country. And so, on behalf of New Zealand, I want to apologise to Grace's family. Your daughter should have been safe here, and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that.
But then you think about New Zealand, it's a real tourist destination, talking about second in the world for safest places in the world for a female to travel. And they've got like an image, like a brand almost. And it's like, come to this country, we're beautiful, we've got all the cameras. So it really did hit them hard, didn't it? And I mean, the family must have felt that, like that feeling. They even did like students, I believe, were in the streets. There was thousands of people around. They did a haka.
Yeah, I mean, none of these people had met her before, I assume, but everyone took it to heart, So it was really, really
she'd
good to see.
She'd been in the country for like a week or two?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some overseas backpacker.
Yeah, she arrived on the 20th of November, and then she was murdered on the 1st or the 2nd of December. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we start the trial with the judge asking Jesse how he pleads.
Jesse Shane Kempson, you are charged that between 1 December 2018 and 2 December 2018 at Auckland murdered Grace Emmy Rose Millane. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
So after that, the trial begins with the prosecution. And this is where they begin to outline all the movements based on the evidence from the CCTV footage.
One of the things that I ensured was that we watched second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. We couldn't afford to miss anything to see the full picture of who Jesse Kempson is.
Grace Millane went back with the defendant to his apartment. She died there. A couple of days later, the defendant buried her body on Scenic Drive out in the Waitakeris. None of this is in dispute. What is in dispute is how she died. And the pathologist who examined Ms. Millane and will tell us that the cause of death was sustained pressure to the neck. It's obviously the Crown's case that Ms. Millane was strangled by Mr. Kempson.
So we do hear from his ex-girlfriend who wasn't at the trial, and she talks about how out of character this is for Jesse, and he's such a nice guy and whatnot. And just joking. Let's have a listen to what she has to say about Jesse.
The night he tried to murder me, I wrote a letter in case my body was found, stating everything he did to me that night, and I signed it because I honestly thought I was going to die. I came home and I walked up the stairs. He looked at me and he said, "I'm going to kill you." And just that fear of being like, fuck, I thought it settled down. It's just kept going on. You're going to die today. I'm going to murder you. At some point, he went and got that knife, got me on the ground, and I was in like a fetal position. He was on top of me with the knife by my throat. And then he got me behind the couch in a chokehold. And I'll never forget, he whispered in my ear, "Shh, time to go to sleep." He needed power and control at all times. And when he didn't have it, he would resort back to those violent behaviours. He slapped me, he headbutted me, he'd hold my throat till I couldn't breathe while he was having sex with me. Whenever he was angry at me, he'd go to the kitchen and get the butcher knife and hold it to my throat. Those were tactics to just remind me, I could kill you if I choose to. I am the only person that will actually know deep down what happened behind that door. What I think happened is that she said no to him and he lost it. She doesn't like being told no. And when I think of that, that really gets me sad. Because I know the fear that she would have felt in those final moments. And that really saddens me.
And that's pretty horrific. This poor woman going through all that, and she must have a bit of survivor's guilt as well. Like, she was in a relationship with this guy, and she went through this horrific experience. Obviously, managed to get away from him, and for him just to, I guess, how many months or years later, to just murder this poor woman after one interaction is just insane to me.
That's right.
Incredible.
Because she wasn't able to attend the trial, the prosecution needed to bring in previous Tinder dates, and they told very similar stories, and it really painted a picture of who Jessie was as a person.
Today, the Crown called evidence from these other women in an effort to prove a pattern of behaviour.
One witness told the court of fearing for her life during their encounter as her breathing was restricted.
The woman said the man sat down, putting his full weight on her face.
Do you think that you may have overemphasised or exaggerated what took place that night and how you really felt about it?
Not at all. That's not a pleasurable thing. He would have seen me kicking and writhing. You can't say that I was sitting there enjoying it.
I suggest he didn't have hold of your arms in any form of restraint at all.
After he moved off me, after the struggling, after the holding me down, I said that I couldn't breathe.
That's just nonsense, isn't it? Nothing bad did happen. You weren't kicking or struggling at all. He didn't have hold of your arms. He didn't say any of those things to you.
This is not a lie. I'm not trying to justify anything. I don't want to be telling my horrific story in front of all you people, but I am, and it's the truth, and you can't take that away.
Look, his defense lawyers probably even close to being just as big a piece of shit as Jessie in this documentary.
I don't know how they sleep at night. He was fucking terrible, that guy.
These fucking defense lawyers, worst humans in the world, have just, I guess, really victim shamed these women. And like, I guess the defense didn't have a leg to stand on. This guy had confessed. I mean, he, like you said earlier, he's doing the 50 Shades of Grey defense at the moment. And these defense lawyers are really just trying to make the victim look bad, which is worse for the families dragging him through this in the first place.
That's right, yeah. They were trying to blame Grace for wanting the rough sex, and she was initiated, and it just went too far, and Jessie panicked. And
it's all just for him to get a lighter sentence at the end of the day. You know he's going to get put away. The defense lawyers must have known the shit that they were talking, that it just wasn't going to fly. But it's just all they had. It was the only card that they could play at the time.
So, on the other hand, the prosecutors, they jump up. They're actually really good because they just go through the facts of actually what happened. So, the autopsy shows that she was strangled to death. And then afterwards, they saw on his phone that he'd looked up the Waiteka Ranges, where he, as we said, he eventually dumps her body in a shallow grave. Also Google's, quote, hottest fire. So he obviously had a few different plans going on. And then he starts checking out some porn websites.
The actual search was Pornhub, and it's interesting because it's like that they actually found no evidence of sex actually in an autopsy. So, I mean, if he's claiming all this rough sex and all that, what I believe might have happened was that she may have turned him down, and then he got angry and killed her, strangled her to death. Because
that's right.
I mean, it's a pretty unlikely. The way he described what happened in that interview room, it's just like the best sex ever. Like, oh, we started on the bed, then we're on the floor, and he's making
couldn't handle me. I'm so good.
This went on for hours, right? Making it sound like he's an absolute stud, but then obviously didn't get his rocks off, and now he's looking up Pornhub while there is a dead body on the ground.
Yeah, and they also found photos on his phone of her dead body in, they say, intimate positions.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is really disgusting.
And as far as like the autopsy and the condition of the body, they don't really go into too much detail because, like I was saying earlier, it looked like she had sustained much more horrific injuries than just what was explained to us with the choking.
Yeah.
Being at all the blood that was found at the crime scene, who knows, maybe that's old blood. He does live in a hotel room, but it just looked like there was a huge cleanup, and I just feel like that was glossed over in the documentary. It's almost like, hey, we're going to show you a shitload of blood, but we're not going to explain it.
Maybe they did that out of respect for the family.
Maybe, but I mean, we're dealing with facts here that are available publicly. I'm pretty sure we'd be able to Google this and find out the information. Why not have it in a documentary? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like maybe there was some sort of dismemberment that happened here, and we're not privy to it.
Exactly. As we said before, like, it's pretty hard to fit an entire body in a suitcase. I mean, I haven't tried, but I imagine.
Never tried it, I promise.
So the prosecutors also go into sort of his movements the next day and whatnot, and they show more CCTV footage because there's apparently 50 million cameras in Auckland watching you at all times. And then he goes into a hardware shop and he buys a shovel that he digs the hole with. And a few other little bits.
But on that, yeah, you're just about to mention it now. He buys a shovel, but to throw off the guy at the counter, it's like, oh, I'm going to buy like a packet of gum. What else does he buy? Like, you know what I mean?
He's buying bolts and stuff, and then speaking a lot about the bolts. And I'm thinking it's like a teenage boy buying condoms for the first time at the supermarket, and then just buys all this other random shit to try and like cover up. No, I'm not buying condoms.
Throw them off. I'm definitely not having sex tonight. Yeah. I'm definitely not burying a body. I'm buying a shovel just randomly in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Like, the person behind the counter is like, this is the first person that's ever bought a shovel at his shop before, going, fuck, I'm getting to call the cops after this. He's definitely got a body in that car.
Yeah, that's right. I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's a suspect. I mean, we look at people like that now because we're that way inclined. Like, we go into the Bunnings almost every day buying bolts, but we haven't got bodies in the back of our utes.
Yeah, that's right. They also talk about, they really gloss over that he ends up going the next morning to Mission Bay with a backpack. I think it was 20 past 5 in the morning or something like that. And he never says what he's doing, but they don't find her phone. So they suspect that he was getting rid of evidence, throwing her phone away, stuff like that.
Because all the other stuff, and like you mentioned before, there's 1 million cameras in Auckland. Every step of his path going through the park, even there is a camera watching him putting things in the bin. Which is incredible. It's almost, like I said to you earlier, this is like they've done reenactments, and they call this the case on CCTV. Every step of this is caught on camera, and it's actually incredible watching it. Yeah. And you'll have to do yourself a favor after listening to our pod. Go back and watch this, because the footage is incredible. And like you said, that's the only thing they're unsure of, is that Grace's phone was never found. And they do show like a bit of a snippet of the water going out to give you a bit of a visualization.
Yeah, that's right.
He must have thrown it in the water at some point.
Yeah, exactly. They're hinting at it hard. Yeah,
exactly.
Just going back to the cameras, if there wasn't so many cameras constantly watching his every step, do you think he would have got away with this?
Maybe. I mean, the fact, maybe not. I mean, it would have been a real circumstantial case, because if they didn't have him, they would have had him with the Tinder stuff. They would have been able to find out through her location, going through the deep dive of her phone, like not her phone, just her accounts. They would have found out that they were going to meet up. So they would have spoken to him for sure.
Straight away,
he would have been straight away. But if they weren't able to prove that, okay, you were lying here and you're lying there, he gives them a bit of a timeline of what he did the next morning. And the next morning he mentions he didn't get up or something until about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
They can see that he gets in the lift with the suitcase at like 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. And then he has to backtrack and find out, I must have just got my days mixed up and all that. So, you know what I mean? It really started to unravel for him, but I don't know if they would have gotten a confession out of him without all the CCTV.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, he did,
which probably leads to no body.
That's right. And as you said before, no way they would have found that body. So it just would have been circumstantial. But surely he would have known that, at least, if he didn't know that there's cameras all through Auckland, at least his hotel would have a camera and would show her entering the room, but not.
That's true.
So, yeah.
If he didn't have that digital footprint of meeting her through Tinder, he would have gotten away with it.
Yeah,
but the fact that they already had him, they would have known where he's staying and looked through all those cameras.
That's right. Yeah.
He's fucked.
Yeah, I did think, he did do a pretty good job trying to cover up as much as he possibly could. Like we spoke about the suitcase, and he was so confident with, I've still got the suitcase, blah, 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 even though he'd put her in the suitcase and that was buried in the Waitaki Ranges.
Exactly right.
But what he'd done is he also went to a different warehouse. And do you know what the warehouse is in New Zealand?
No.
So it's basically just like a big, huge reject shop. It's like the size of like a Kmart or a Target. So he ends up going to a different house and then buying the exact same suitcase. And then that way that's why he's able to keep that in his room, and he's able to explain why he's got that on camera, things like that. So
that's why he's so confident, going, I've still got it. You can have it, because he knows that there's no DNA evidence on it and it's nothing sus. So yeah, he did do a lot to cover his tracks.
But some things were really good, but he was never going to get away with it.
Well, the thing is, he bought that suitcase the day after the murder too. So I mean, if he'd really planned this the way he was going to do it, he would have bought that suitcase beforehand. That's the only thing I'm not 100% sure if it was premeditated, and that's the tricky part for the prosecution.
I think what you said before with he wanted to have sex and she didn't, and then he threw his toys out of the cot, and he's obviously, you heard from his ex-girlfriend, he's just got violent tendencies. But in terms of premeditation, I personally don't think so. I think it was just, he just snapped.
Heat of the moment and have it, like you said, those violent tendencies that he's got. And he probably thinks he's eaten a bit. You could see the way he's dressed. He's wearing a three-piece suit and all that sort of shit in the interview room. And he does dress very smartly. He's trying to portray himself as to someone he's not, which is like what I was saying earlier. Tinder is all about that. And I think he even mentions that in that first interview we got. Tinder is all about trying to, I guess, put the best part of you out there, and you're throwing a bunch of bait out there and you're waiting for a certain fish to catch, you know what I mean? You're trying to wait for those bites and see what you can get. So, he was just a big piece of shit. A wolf in sheep's clothing, if you will.
Yeah. So we get to the sentencing. And obviously Jesse's found guilty of murder, so no shock there. And he's sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 17 years. So at least we can, be settled that he's going to have 17 years of butt fucking by Hemi, the overly aggressive Maori biker. So that'll help us sleep better at night. So I enjoy that part. So.
Well, what do you think about the sentencing they have, like in New Zealand? Australia is very similar as well. I feel like we're quite lenient. Like, I
was shocked with the 17 years, to be honest.
Yeah, but also for a justice system that is very different to the States, where you can get life or you can get death, or they will chuck all these charges and you end up with 300 years. It's not like that in New Zealand and Australia. It's so different.
In New Zealand, there's no first degree or second degree murder. It's just murder.
Well,
so that's why I was surprised with the 17 years. You would have thought there'd be a little bit more. So.
Yeah, that is very surprising.
Maybe that's just my hopefulness.
Yeah, well, and he's still a young guy. He's in his 20s. So it's scary thought to think that he is going to be out of prison by the time he's 40, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's a scary prospect to think that. Mate, he's still young in his 40s. Mate, we're in our 40s. We're still spring chickens.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. Okay, so we get to the end of the documentary, and it gives you a bit of stats that defense that Jesse had used. And between 1972 and 2022, at least 60 defendants in the UK alone have used the rough sex defense. 45% resulted in a lesser charge, a lighter sentence, or an acquittal, or it not even being pursued.
It's crazy.
So it is crazy, and you could understand why, I guess, Jesse went down that road. You were surprised he only got 17 years, but it would have been interesting to know without this defense, if he just admitted fault and they didn't go to trial and it was just a sentencing, what he actually would have got.
Yeah. I hate that this is out there and it can be used as a loophole for these pieces of shit. And then almost not quite victim blaming, but then they're putting a lot of it on a lot of ownership on the victim. Because they're not there to tell their side.
But then also you've got the perpetrator, Jesse, in this case, dragging the families through this court process that didn't need to happen. Really,
that's right. Exactly.
This could have all been avoided, and they didn't have to subject them to that bullshit of her being this minx that she probably was not.
No, you could tell that she wasn't.
Yeah, so overall, I actually enjoyed the documentary. It was a bit different to other documentaries. It seemed like it was relatively cheap to make. I mean, that's not a slight on it. It's just the fact that they had so much footage. They had all the CCTV. They had news reports. They didn't actually have any interviews that you see, like in a normal documentary where there's someone sitting on a couch and they're explaining their experiences. There was none of that whatsoever. There was fonts on the screen, showing text messages. There was the trial footage. So it was really a basic documentary. But as far as true crime fans like us, it was really good to see all that stuff. Because if you're listening to a podcast like ours, you want to hear those interrogations. You want to see it. It's almost like you're there living it. They didn't need to have reenactments. So as far as that goes, it was well produced, but very simple, but effective. I think with the way they cut it together, I assume they would have done relatively well out of it. And not only that, I wasn't familiar with the case whatsoever. So when I popped on Netflix and saw it was a new documentary and watched it, I was like, oh, sweet, I haven't heard of this one, which is nice. Majority of the stuff that you see come out these days, you already know the story. You've already listened to a podcast or seen a different documentary on it. But being fans, we'll watch it anyway. But it was nice to see something new.
Yeah, definitely. We're really, as you said, we're really, really spoiled for how much security footage they had. And while I was watching it, actually, like all of their movements before the date, I found it quite odd thinking she's about to die. She doesn't know, and we're just watching her. I found that really creepy.
It's creepy, isn't it? And I think the very last scene, or one of the last scenes of the documentary, they just show her walking by herself, almost like she's walking to her death. Which is really eerie. And there's so much silence throughout the documentary as well. I don't know, you're just a bit mesmerized by what you're watching. So what did you think of the documentary overall?
Yeah, really enjoyed it, actually. I think it does a really good job. It reminds us that Grace's story doesn't end with how she died, but who she was, and that Jess's story is not one of misunderstanding, but accountability. While one life was taken, one truth remained, and no lie, no matter how rehearsed, could bury it forever. So
that's a beautiful little final thought there.
Thanks.
And that's something we can do at the end of every episode where we have just our final little thought. I don't think I could be as poetic as you, but I'll try my best next episode.
I've set the bar now, so
you have set it very high. And in mentioning next week, I'm going to give the listeners a bit of a preview here, and I'll just ask you a question before I lead into it. Do you like handjobs?
Yeah, I'm partial to a handjob.
Okay, so have you ever asked your neighbour for one?
No.
Your male neighbour? Okay, so this is an interesting case.
my male neighbour?
Your male neighbour. I know, believe it or not.
Can I double know?
Here is a snippet of what to expect next week.
He says, I cannot stand my wife. I need to have sex. I could see that he was sexually aroused. He says, oh, can you give me some relief? We were laughing, and he said, oh, Bob, it's just kid stuff, and I've got to have relief. So I was dumb enough to reach over and relieve him in an act of masturbation.
So what you just heard there was a snippet of what we've got come to next week. It's a documentary called Abducted in Plain Sight. It's where a family lived next door to this guy, very close to the family, and he basically abducted their daughter without them really realizing it. And that whole story with him giving his neighbour a handjob is just part of the weird and crazy moment of this documentary, which is just fascinating. So looking forward to deep diving into it and chatting with you next week about it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one, actually.
Have you seen it yet?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
I mean, there are so many
audio there. I'm sure I would have remembered that part.
You might have been like thinking, is this a Pornhub thing that I watched in the past?
Is this Jesse's search history?
Yeah. That's right. So that's what we've got coming up next week. It's been great. I mean, look, hopefully you guys enjoyed. We are True Crime Tradies. We are looking. I'm actually wearing my Bunnings Trade T-shirt. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. Look, if Bunnings, the head of marketing for Bunnings, is listening to this podcast, give us a call. You know, we're happy to take you on as a customer. We'll support Bunnings because they definitely need it. We are regular customers there. But look,
that's right. And on that, if any businesses want to shout out, like, feel free to email us.
Do we have an email address yet?
Yes, it is. Fucking, I don't know. do you have we got one yet?
No, I mean, we can just make one up right now.
Yes, we do. You can email us at truecrimetradies@gmail.com. So if you or your business wants a shout out, feel free to reach out and you can find out how. We'll definitely love to have you on board.
All right, mate. Well, until next week, stay safe and try not to murder anyone.
Yeah, no promises.
See you, mate.
See you, mate. Cheers, bye.